Namaskaram, everybody. Shri Matre Namaha. Let's begin. Om. Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadhanam Dhyayet Sarvavigno Prashantaye Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karashyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Sadgurun Padukam Pujayami Tarpayami Namaha. Welcome all of you for this final session on the professional development training that is taking place in our Vidyalaya. Isha, please start with the slides. So today session is definitely different from the previous ones so far because we have spoken about the Gurukula tradition, the language, though the language part is still the last part is still there, but that will be taken in a bit different manner. That's what I was thinking. So officially kind of an introduction that was given to Sanskrit and its understanding on a broader perspective. And also we have spoken about administration, mentorship, and institutional responsibilities. Today, we are moving into a very practical aspect of becoming an assistant faculty member, actually, what it is all about being an assistant faculty. So generally, like many students in the Mahavidyalaya, when in the previous years, when we were given this opportunity of becoming an assistant faculty, they thought that teaching begins when the class begins, actually, but it is actually not. Teaching begins when a faculty member receives the responsibility to teach that particular portion in itself, actually, which is very important. That is, by the end of the session, you would be understanding that every faculty member have to think differently about the preparation that is involved in teaching. It's not merely some kind of a syllabification that we are going to teach and we are going to teach Sanskrit text, but it is how we are going to prepare and present. It is not simply about memorizing or it is simply showing some kind of an expert in the text, but it involves planning, studying, practicing, mentoring, and reflecting, actually. So every class should have a purpose. Every teacher should know what the students are expected to learn. And every faculty member should actually know the preparation that is required for stepping into the classroom practices. So the goal of today's session is to create a confident and a disciplined and what is called as being a prayerful faculty member, actually. Let me talk on this. Moving further. From Swadhyaya to Adhyapana. That is the theme that we have actually placed for today's session. So traditional learning, the first slide, the traditional learning does not, second slide, please. Traditional learning does not encourage what is called as immediate teaching. There is a process. First comes smarana. We revise and strengthen memory. Then shravana, we receive from the guru. That is, we listen carefully, not only to the words, but also to the pronunciation, pauses, and actions. And then we do what is called as man. That is, we reflect, we think about it, what we have learned. We may ask questions. We have identified difficult places. Then the Nididhyasana comes into existence, where we practice repeatedly until the text becomes a natural part of our recitation or a natural part of what is, what it's a part of this in the self, actually. And only then comes Adhyapana, that is teaching. This is very important for all the teachers to make a note here. The process does not end there, actually. After teaching comes Chintana, That is reflection, which is very important. And we keep emphasizing about that in our Mahavidyalaya, that we ask ourselves what happened during class and what can actually improve. And a faculty member, therefore, remains a student throughout the life, actually. Let me explain more on this. Learning outcomes for every class, actually. When I talk about the learning outcomes, modern education actually asks teachers to define what is called as learning the outcomes. We have something in traditionally, we have to first define the learning outcomes to students. So we are supposed to, when we start the class, we are supposed to declare to the students. Today we are continuing with Soundarya Lahari, for example, and we are going to teach, and I'm going to teach 21 to 35. And there are, as you know, there are four verses. Each shloka has four verses. So we will be looking into these many lines, for example. So you are defining the outcome properly. So I'm going to cover 20 shloka. Maybe you go beyond the 20 shlokas. It's not that you cannot go, actually, but like you have a plan, actually, and you let students know that plan, which is very important. And students should be able to know what is that they are going to learn, what is the end outcome, and what is that gap perhaps that would have existed, and what is that the teacher has actually done. So that kind of an introduction should be given to the students in the starting action. For the chanting classes, the learning outcomes may be very simple. And because we have to look for what is called as chanting correctly, students should be able to recognize the pauses that are required, the required syllabification that they are supposed to do, ensuring the fact that they are going the proper Sanskrit syllabification, particularly for a language like Tamil, which I know that most of the words will be having a lot of differentiation. So you should be able to do that differentiation properly. And also, you should be in a position to revise what is called as you should be able to revise the content. Actually, you should have the timing also. 1 hour of time is there, means it is not that at the end you rush to finish. You should not do that. You should be able to cover the portions. You should be able to even revise the portions, actually, which is very important, because you are not the only one who will be there in the class. You will also have somebody to assist you in the class, or felicitate the class, actually. So the felicitator will be able to chant, means we should plan that 1 hour or 1.5 hours of time. All our classes times have increased because it is just one session. Otherwise, we had two sessions. But now what has happened is that we have kept majority of all the sessions. I don't know if you have seen the time. It starts from 8:30, actually. 8:30 to it starts from 8:30. That 9 to 10 we have the classes. We have from 8:30 to 10 o'clock, actually, because it's weekly. Only one class is going to happen per subject, actually. So that 1.5 hours clear planning should be there to all the assistant faculty members, and they should what is called as they should be able to submit a monthly lesson planning based on what they have been guided. Actually, this is what you are supposed to do. You will get that guidance every month. We will have faculty meetings, and you should be after that faculty meeting, you should be able to submit what is called as the lesson planning, actually lesson planning directly to the school principal. It should reach the principal, actually. So the principal will know what you are covering, actually. Week wise, you should be able to give the plan, because every weekly once only all the faculty members are having classes. So you should be having a detailed plan for all the 4 weeks. This is what it is. This is the chanting part. This is what is the this is what is the syllabification. This much of time is perhaps expected for the syllabification. These many times I will repeat this particular mantras. It seems to be difficult in these verses. For example, verse number 12 seems to be a bit complicated. Verse number 6 seems to be complicated. So I might end up chanting that more or syllabifying it more, actually. So am I syllabifying particularly with the syllabification output that we are given? You all have that syllabification output, right? So you have to focus to do that based on that syllabification output. And how much of time we are going to plan to give it to the felicitate who's going to felicitate in what is called as repetition. Are you going to repeat after every three shlokas, five shlokas, or are you going to repeat after 10 shlokas, or are you going to repeat after the whole, after you will finish, you will repeat? All these kind of planning should be there actually. And that planning you have to prepare and you have to submit it as a lesson planning actually. So every teacher should submit what is called as a lesson plan. Lesson plan is very important. Every month, the lesson plan should come by the first week. It should come actually by the first week before the weekend will be finishing. You should be submitting the lesson plans actually before you do the next month first class. You understand? So before that, your previous next lesson plan should come in actually. If there are any corrections, if there are any suggestions, you might get for the lesson planning based on that actually. You might land up getting that is something we have to look into. And these lesson plannings will be closely monitored by the examination officer actually. Examination officer will be the primary in charge for the lesson planning. The examination officer will closely work with the principal to understand how the lessons are, what is the lesson planning, is there any gaps in the lesson plan? And the examination officer will directly talk with the principal actually. And the principal will be intimated actually what are the things where the corrections should be there, where the guidance should be given, and how to proceed further actually. And that will be addressed by the examination officer or the principal at the end of the faculty meetings. Every month when we have the faculty meetings, we should be able to do it. And when we talk about the faculty meetings, we should be able to do something very important, teachers. The thing is that every week after the class, you are supposed to maintain what is called as a reflective journal actually. If there is anything, you feel that you have consciously done something wrong. For example, we might land up chanting something not correctly. Sometime you feel that, what you have done is not enough, you yourself feel that, if today whatever I thought is not enough, maybe I need to repeat whatever I thought. It is not that it would have reached the students actually. You feel there is a need of repetition, or you feel that there is a kind of a gap, or you feel that there is some other innovation you would like to do, all these should be written in that reflective journal. So that reflective journal is what we will be having it in terms of a discussion actually. Because in majority in all the classes, the principal will also be present, the examination officer will also be there actually, and the Mahavidyalaya administrator will also be there. Everybody will be there, but we will be also observing. Everybody will be observing how the class is going on, and everybody simultaneously studying, reflecting, understanding. It's not that you are only going to be there, all the others will also be there in the class when you are taking the class. So what is your reflective journal? And any specifically the other office bearers of the Mahavidyalaya, if they have something to say at the end of the faculty meeting, we will be able to discuss it in detail actually with what is called as the reflective journal or the observation record. This is called as the observation record, the teacher observation record. It is technically called as, or we can call it what is called as the reflective journal, the self-reflective journal. So let me speak more on this actually. I've already spoken on this. Let's get into the next slide, please. So what is called as this has basically whatever I've been speaking, it has 5 steps actually. The text preparation, reading the portions, that is you prepare for the portions, you practice the portions, you chant aloud several times so that you are comfortable with whatever you're going to teach. And there is also what is called as a technical preparation. Technical preparations is particularly the syllabification, the aki matras, uki matras, the way we teach actually, you prepare everything properly. When I talk about the preparation, I mean, I thoroughly mean the fact that you should be able to, you should be able to, mark everything in the pencil and keep everything ready actually in the notebook itself. Or if it is necessary, you should be able to even write some additional notes and keep. If it is necessary that you type or write a separate notebook, and you should be able to keep it actually as a record, that what is the kind of preparation you have done, and that you can show it to me or share it with me whenever we meet, actually yearly, once or twice, whenever we meet. If you submit it, that would be really appreciative, actually. A handwritten note. Apart from that, we will be having typed, we will be sending typed notes and everything, that is all there. But if you maintain what is called as a teacher's lesson plan, a separate notebook for the entire year, and write everything, nowadays, like, you can just take the picture of whatever you write and you put it in the AI and ask that you type and give it, means it is just going to give it, actually, yeah. So maintaining that notebook, I would really appreciate, actually. You maintain a notebook, what is called one notebook, where you write the lesson plan also, and you write the observation record also. Just keep one notebook for this, and write. After the lesson plan, you have an observation record, a kind of a what is called as a you know a practical note for your teaching purpose, actually, how it has progressed, so we can see our own progress, actually. And if I have given any correction, you write it there itself. The principal acharya's observations were the following, actually, so that at the end of wherever we are meeting, even if we meet it in, we are not able to meet, but even we'll end up meeting in the graduation ceremony every year, I will be able to sign and give you the text, actually. So it is a record of what work you have done, actually, and it is also a kind of a systematic way of understanding how the evolution has also taken place, actually. These documents would definitely make a huge sense, actually, for you and also for the Mahavidyalaya community as a large. Because until now we have been doing what is called as a digital work, actually. I do understand we are doing, but this notebook, if it is there, imagine tomorrow we might, or we can use it as reference to the future generations, actually. We can show it to them, actually. This is the way the work is done, actually. You understand what I'm trying to say? So we can share it with them, and we can ask them to work on it or improvise on it, actually. And it also be useful, because today, where Sri Lakshmi Kalaka and Isha and all there, tomorrow you people might be there in those positions, actually. But, like, if that is the way you are all going to grow, actually. If that is the case, then you also know how your learning curves have, improvised, and where you are, from where you started, and how systematically you have progressed with the Mahavidyalaya. Everything will have a kind of a record, actually. And moving further, so you chant several times, then you do the technical preparation, which I just explained. Then you look for the review and corrections if there are any, and then you are technically ready. And then you think about, if there is, as I told, if there is any difficult chanting verses are there, you put in a little effort there to make sure that you are comfortable in chanting and splitting the syllabification and everything. And finally, the most important thing, offer a prayer to Devi, actually. Amma nallabadiya poganum. Devi, my class should go very well. It's all samarpanam to you, actually. I am not doing, let me not even get an inch of thought in my mind that I am the one who is doing it, actually. You are only me. You are only this intelligence. You are only this tongue. You are only this knowledge. You are the one who is akshara, you are the one who is coming out like sound. I has no space here, actually. Like that, you do a samarpan of everything that you learned and prepared under the feet of Devi. This is very important. This will sum up your entire preparation. Offer namaskaram to Devi mentally and emotionally, and you are ready to take the class. Every time you take the class, try not to, log in the last moment, actually. You know, at least come 2 minutes before and sit near your laptop, actually. I do this. This is one of the practical tip I am giving you, actually. Sometimes what I do is that I might start even 2-3 minutes late, but I am still here. I just sum up myself, actually. Okay, fine. Now Devi is going to speak. I'm going to listen. That is what I will tell myself. I am not speaking. Devi is going to speak. Even I'm going to listen, actually. Like that, you prepare yourself and you sit. So ideally, 5 minutes before you are supposed to log in, actually. Very important. You should be there before the students, actually. You should be there, and you should be able to greet. You should be able to smile. Your smile will make a difference, actually, for the students when you're there at the class. If I'll be like this, you will understand. And today, okay, fine, something is going to happen in the class actually. And I smile, you know that okay, fine, there's a happy mood, there's something good is going to happen. Correct, na? Yes or no, actually. So the way you take class itself is unfolding actually. So it makes a huge difference. So it's not just about us, but it is about, those 50 to 100 people who are going to listen to us at that moment actually, which is very important. For any particular reason, even if you're not physically well, you take the class, you try to take the class. But if you're emotionally not feeling well, you can take a break that day. We can announce that we are not going to take the class for some reason. I would pray to Devi, and my prayers are there for you that you should not get into that kind of a mode. But you don't have to be upset and come to take the class actually. Your mind should be calm and relaxed actually. You understand what I'm trying to say? Which is very important. If you're going to say, if you're going to openly tell us that for some reason my mind is not feeling well. You saw the other day I wrote openly, I didn't prepare, therefore I'm not taking class actually. That's it. That is the truth. There's nothing to hide here actually. There is like due to some emergency I canceled my class. What is that emergency? Thankfully by her kripa, like there is no any emergency actually. Everything is going fine by her grace actually. So why should I say that there is some emergency? Or like if there is something else I'm doing, like okay fine, which I do not want to declare, then I'll say that class is cancelled. Okay fine, class is cancelled. But I didn't genuinely prepare for that class, therefore I am not taking the class. So it is fine. There is nothing wrong about it actually. So if you genuinely feel like today maybe I should take a break, I don't want to take this class, we can announce a leave actually. We can announce a holiday. We can cancel the class actually, because you know that it's going in a schedule actually. So if you cancel, maybe I should all be the substitute who should take it. Otherwise, we will genuinely cancel the class actually. So we will cancel and you just relax. There is nothing to worry actually. If not this week, you cover it the next week actually. That should be fine. So you have that space actually. You are responsible, but at the same time, please remember it should be meaningful also. Meaningful to you and meaningful to the community, which is very important. Moving further, let's understand studying the text actually. Studying the text has all the following components. Reading and studying are different. This is something which we have to understand. The primary understanding is reading is very different and studying is very different. Study means actively engage with the text. Okay, study means actively engage with the text, mark difficult components, identify the permutation and combination of words, observe, pause where we have to pause. You understand these language, right? We have taught you in that particular manner where we need to pause, where we have to elongate and say, where we have to steal the pause. These languages you have been accustomed with this language of learning actually. So now you're going to implement it in teaching. Look for repeated pronunciation mistake. It's not that you just say once and finish. You say 2 3 times as required actually. It depends, because every faculty will have a different teaching style, though you have learned from looking into me and looking into Tarunima, predominantly the teaching. But you will have your own style. You should be able to implement that. We will welcome that, within the parameters of what it is like. You should be able to bring in out your teaching style. Look for think like a student, which is very important. You don't do it from the teacher's point of view, but you do it from the student point of view. Which word might confuse them, which word might be difficult, to say actually. The combination word like k and sh together, like her and year together, yeah, like that, what we say, like how they will say early stages, how students will say it. So we can go a bit slow on these things, how to segregate these words and say, okay, sh is there, it is k and sh to there, sh, that is there. So that and all, you should have prepared it. It should be there actually. You should have written the notes and kept actually. And then you go with that. It is not that you simply keep it in your mind. You should have definitely, what is called as write it actually in your Devi Mahatmyam textbook, or whatever the teaching material that has been allocated to you. You should be able to do that. Which line needs repetition? So never assume that because we can chant, everybody can chant. That is not the case. Okay, just because of the reason I can do, necessarily everybody can do. So a good teacher prepare the difficult parts with great care, actually. When I'm talking about the difficult parts, I still remember, like, you people are a bit lucky because we started teaching in a different dimension. Initially, when we started teaching, we used to start from technically from the Devi Kavacham only. And Devi Kavacham has a lot of Pata Bedam, actually. Imagine students coming first time to the class and they have started learning, and we say that, after the 16th shloka, 21 will come, you change that shloka here, the numbering will change, the pronunciation, some things you delete it. We have that technical issue in Devi Kavacham. You know that, right? Actually. But for you people, what I did, we started teaching in a different way. Actually, I started teaching from different chapters, and at the end, we came to the Kavacham. By the time we taught Kavacham, you people were comfortable, in addition, deletion, and all these things. Imagine if I would have been the first class, and we are doing this kind of a torture, actually, what you will think, what is that I am doing here? And also the text is also not matching with what I am teaching. I'm not even able to understand. They are saying in, ik, a, e, they are saying, yes or no? That will be the mindset, na? So these things are very important, actually. That's the reason this year, I mean, we have still thought about it in a very different way, actually. The Mahatmya in particular, that is a classic text to be taught in our Mahavidyalaya. I've been already discussing with the faculty, Isha, like how she should be teaching and what we should be doing. Like I've been giving her tips, and other subjects also will be slowly coming, and I'll be pitching in with the individual faculty members. We'll be having separate individual meetings, and I'll be guiding. And also every month, as I told you, we will have review meetings also. Like every month, we'll have faculty review meetings. We will be discussing your prepared portions and everything. And yeah, so like what I'm trying to say is that, I mean, a good teacher prepares the difficult parts first, and they understand like how to take it forward, The next one, structuring and chanting sessions. In the structuring and the chanting sessions, the class should have a rhythm. That is, we begin with the prayer, invocation, Bija, Pura, Gadek, Shukar, Mukuraja. That is what we will do. Correct? Na? Like only in the three theory and the Prayogam sessions, we will do Shuklam, Bharadaram, Vishnu. Correct? So you should be correct me. Like so we begin with the prayer. You are comfortable in chanting the prayers. You revise the previous learning. You introduce that, okay, last week we did these things, and now from here we are starting. If anybody has missed the last week's class, please go through the recordings. The recordings are there in the YouTube. So you say something, you introduce, and then you start, and then you say the learning outcomes. This week we are going to cover these aspects, and you say kind of a short introduction, and then you demonstrate clearly that what you're going to do. That is what the learning outcomes we are letting to know. And then, there is a repetition a time that we give. You know that, right? Every time when we teach, we will say that, okay, 2 minutes break, 1 minute break. Yes or no? Like even Tarunima did it, right? Actually, in the middle, we will give some pause, actually, at that moment, you can also rest, actually, you can also rest. And then after that 2 minutes break or whatever you feel, you have designed it in your lesson plan, then you will ask the felicitator to chant. Actually, at that point of time, the felicitator should be able to chant nicely. So the felicitator should also, what to say, should have the lesson plan of the teacher, actually. For example, if Isha is teaching Devi Mahatmyam, she's a teacher, and the co-teachers, for example, Gayatri Ma and Sendil are the co-teachers. The co-teachers should know what Isha is going to do, actually. Isha should be able to update in the faculty group itself that I'll be doing these things, actually, so that the co-teachers will prepare and come for the chanting. You understand? And when Isha is asking the co-teachers to chant, the co-teachers should be able to unmute and chant those portions, actually, are able to follow. That is something very important. Co-teachers, those who are there in the subjects, it is very important, actually. You should be able to chant very systematically, because you also know what the teachers are going to teach. If you're a co-teacher, actually, if you're a teacher intently handling, means then you should, of course, you know what you're going to do. And there is a co-teacher for every subject, actually. So the co-teacher should also know what the main teacher is going to teach, and I'll be in a position to repeat properly for the co-teacher, because the co-teacher is actually the role model in the class, actually. You understand what I'm trying to say? Though the teacher is teaching, but what the co-teacher is going to chant, only everybody will understand, And at the end, whatever sessions you are doing, make sure we are having what is called as correct mistakes, invite questions, but we don't do that in the class. Early stages, you know that even we didn't allow with you, but this is a technical practice. We cannot deny it, but later stages, we will start doing it slowly. Or we will have what is called as special revision sessions we will be having. There we can invite questions and everything. And then practice time, assigning the practice time we have, and then ending with prayer. But here, before ending with prayer, the main teacher, please make a note for the subject. You should have chanted that entire portion of that particular day completely, so that if it is there in that recording, students can go and revise it easily. You understand, na? Because you also wanted YouTube recordings. Correct me if I'm wrong. So if the record, you chant the entire portion last, at the last, before you conclude the prayers, you chant that particular portion peacefully, properly, with the intonation, syllabification, and in a proper manner, proper pace, you chant it, and it is there. It will be easy for anybody to go and revise. Okay, I know that at the end of the every 1.5 hours of that YouTube lecture, there will be that 10 minutes will be there where I can revise the portion, actually. That kind of an understanding will be there. And also moving forward, we will be also, we will be making the recordings of chapter wise recordings or stotramala wise recordings we will prepare, actually. So that, because you yourself have asked me, actually, such recordings will be there, means it is easy to practice, actually. So that we will do it eventually, actually. Once one chapter is over, for example, we will do the entire recording of the teachers chanting it, so that it is available, so that students can use it as a self-record, for their assessment purpose, for learning purpose. They can use it for what is called as chanting, actually, which is very important. And then you end the class with prayer, Sarva Mangala Mangalye, and then Jayanti Mangala Kali. Like that, we will be ending the class, actually. Got it? Then the next, delivery of the teachings. We should not rush. We should not be careless or carefree. We should be able to speak properly, maintain a natural pace, pronounce carefully, pause appropriately. You should not fear to repeat. You should not feel tired to repeat, and also silence where you have to hold. You should be able to hold that silence also in the class. That is like, you should pause, and you should give the time for the students to revise. So chanting is not actually a performance, but it is a collective practice. We are putting it together as what is called as involving with the evolution of the knowledge systems. Moving further, mentoring students. Teaching does not with class ends. Some students struggle still with pronunciations. Some lack confidence. Some practice regularly. Some disappear. Faculty members should observe these patterns, actually. And we have to understand why the students are not comfortable, actually. You should be able to understand let me tell you outrightly, this might be a little intimidating. If your attendance is dropping, then it is also maybe the problem with the teaching also. You understand, na? If the attendance is dropping, then definitely there's a problem with our teaching. If we land up teaching properly, they should not feel that we are coming for free and they're not. If they are genuinely their prarabdham, their karma, they are not able to attend, means it is something else, actually. That we will know. But if the teaching itself is not interesting, means definitely students will drop out. And chanting is a very boring subject, I'm telling you. You also know that. So you have to make it bit to have to, put in efforts for them. See, it's not like listening to Bhashyam, the way I say, like all kinds of stories, like it's nice to listen actually. There is nothing to memorize, there's nothing to, like to focus, to learn and all. But this is like learning the text actually. So definitely there is a kind of a effort is required. So how you speak, how you present is very important. And follow up is also important actually. Follow up, how we will do, you land up looking for the attendance point of view. That is the way we start, and then eventually we will do the follow up. We will help you with how to do the follow up actually. And if you're doing good, you should stay humble, grounded, and you should continue to do better rather than becoming worse actually. And moving further, correcting the students. Correction is an art. Never embarrass any students. Listen to them carefully, correct them gently. You have seen all these with Tarunima. She has done this kind of revision classes to all of you. Allow them to try again if there is time is there. Praise their improvement. I'm very bad in these places. Maybe I don't know. Like Taruni only should say Taruni and Isha. How I have done, I don't like maybe like the chanting classes which I have conducted. And you praise their improvement. And correction should increase confidence rather than fear. Actually. Oh, nice. I've done it better. Okay. Teacher is happy. Like that kind of a feel they should be able to get. So remember that today's struggling student may become tomorrow's faculty member. We never know. So that is the way we should be able to take it further. The next, reflection after the class. As a teacher, we should be able to follow the reflection. And that reflection is what I was talking about, the journal entry. So you should be able to, that day itself, you should be doing the journal entry before you sleep. That is my sincere advice to all of you. If you go for the next day morning also, you will lose that momentum actually. So immediately you write, or at least write the major points and keep so that you can interpolate it later if you are sleepy or you have some other work to do or something. At least write the bullet points and keep in your rough note. And then in the teaching lesson plan notebook, you can write the record actually. I will give you the format of the lesson plan record. So there will be for everything. So you can use that format and you can write your observations in the teach lesson plan on the observation record, how to maintain. I'll let you know. And I mean, and you should be able to like which passages, as I told you, which passages were difficult, where is the additional support perhaps to be needed, which mistakes are to be repeated, what is the revised class, where is the what should be revised in the next class, and maintaining that faculty journal, as I mentioned you, all of the recordings, and then take the advice from the principal or the senior faculty who is involved, and then we go with the progress. Here, there is something very important we have to note. Here, the co-teacher's role is very important. For example, let me talk from the Devi Mahatmyam perspective. Gayatri Ma and Sendil, both of you are there actually, co-faculties actually. If any place that didn't really go well, actually, if you feel there is a gap between the main teacher, Isha's teaching, and the repetition and the repeating that you did, you should be able to put it in a faculty communication group itself. This place, I felt there was a discrepancy was there. This place, I felt difficult, actually. So Isha, as a teacher, she will know that there is something that was perhaps that was missing there, actually, because you are the voice of the class initially. Because you know that in the initial stages, we are not going to unmute students to ask their doubts, actually. Correct? We did the same thing with you also. So if you feel genuinely something, see, you can pinpoint there is nothing wrong. This is something which we should learn, actually. You should not feel that what Isha will feel, what the other faculty will feel. Even if I land up teaching, if you feel that I did some, there was some kind of a, gap was there, you should be able to put it out, actually. You should be able to let your voice out. For these things, nobody is going to say anything, actually. Then the faculty member, either me or Isha or Tarunima, whosoever the main faculties are, suppose, we should be able to revise them actually. And then next week we will say that, okay, this particular place, we felt there was difficulty was there. So we will repeat these portions. So the voice over teachers, for example, Jyotima, you are the co-teacher for me in the Soundarya Lahari, I guess, correct? Soundarya Lahari or Shakti Upasana, you're the co-teacher actually. So in the Trishakti Upasana, that kind of the same thing actually. Trishakti Upasana, suppose if you are the teacher, whosoever is the co should be able to do it actually. You know, able to follow what I'm trying to say. Or the main teacher itself, or the subject handling teacher itself felt, okay, I have done something, not correct at a particular place, can openly put it in our faculty group actually. Okay, this particular place, I think it didn't really go well. I'll repeat it actually next week. Fair enough. That can be acknowledged by the co-teacher. Okay. Okay, fine. We can do that again or something like that. So our faculty group should be a space where we can communicate openly. This is what I'm trying to say actually. We should be able to communicate openly in our faculty group actually. There should be healthy and constructive criticism of our improvements. And we should be in a position to take it in a very humble manner. If somebody is saying you didn't do it correctly, means we didn't do it correctly. Fine, there is nothing to feel offended actually. Okay, fine, I'll improve. Good. No, and we should know how to put it across. That is also very important. How to place it across is also something even if tomorrow, if I'm going to take a class and you're going to land up accusing me that there was something didn't go well properly, you should be able to put it across. It's not that you should not say it. You should open your mouth and say, but you should know how to put it across actually. That is something very important. If you see in our Facebook comments, there's a lot of new people, they are writing comments actually. But when we write to them, we write with Namaskaram. We write it in a nice manner and we end it with Shri Matre Namaha. Are you able to understand? So let it come there anyway, the comments, but how we are responding is what our space is all about actually. So the art of saying things, you should be able to know. And now you are all well using the AI, to polish the language, to polish the content you are doing. So you should be able to do that also if you really want actually to put it across, if you're putting up a interpolation about the class that went. So we should be able to do that actually. Whenever there is a feedback or a suggestion or anything is asked, you should be brutally honest actually. Guruji, you are the best in the entire world, Isha, oh my God, what a teacher you are. The last thing we need actually, you understand, na? Be brutally honest. Guruji, this was out of the 10 shlokas, these 2 shlokas you did explain properly. So today, for example, this was a beautiful question by Jyoti Ma. What is the meaning of forgetful relationship actually, in the entire article I wrote? So that's a very genuine question actually. What is that forget? Because see, I might understand as an author what I wrote, but how will I expect that the reader will understand? See, I write with a lot of care, but still there are gaps are there. Yes or no? And that genuine question was asked and I answered that question. Okay, what I mean by forgetful relationship with Devi actually. Forgetful relationship means I have interpolated there and I gave an answer to her. That I really liked. That is not something that, she has pinpointed a mistake from my article actually. How dare she can do that? Got it, na? You recognize, you humbly see, that is what is the part of the learning actually. Learning should never create ahambhavam in us. That ego should never trap us actually. This is very important and it's a part of that learning and teaching journey actually. So, and then that's what I'm summing up. The reflection plays a very important role actually. This reflection is very important. The reflection on also the reflection that is coming from others. Because remember, I might be the principal, I might be the guru and everything, but at the end of the day, you are being accepted as a faculty. It means that you are all colleagues for me actually. And I am giving you that space. You should utilize that space actually. You understand? When I'm treating you like a colleague, you should also treat me like a colleague and you should be able to openly voice what it is all about. What you feel, what you think, what you wanted to say, you should be able to voice it out rather than thinking, should I really say this to Guruji? What he will think, what he will not think. Nothing like that. That's your space. You have been recognized for that space. You have been selected for that. You have been given training for that space. You are working hard for that space. You should exercise that space also in a very constructive manner. And nobody can stop you from doing it, including me, as far as the Mahavidyalaya is concerned, actually. Correct? the last slide, maybe the second last, perhaps. So now let's take a activity which you will be presenting it to me in our individual meeting, the one-on-one meeting, because this is the final session and I'll be having individual one-on-one meeting with all the faculty members before we pitch in for the last oath taking, everything that is going to happen. So take a short passage from your selected portions. You have already been assigned with the subjects. Correct me if I'm wrong. You all have been assigned with the subjects. So take any short passage from there. Identify the learning outcomes. Okay. Identify the learning outcomes. Do the syllabification and everything. And I am going to be your first student where you are going to teach me actually in that meeting. That small paragraph, whatever you are going to prepare. And the only difference is that I, as a student, will have the space to ask questions actually. Okay, that is the only difference. It's not a silent, you teach and you leave. I will, as a student, I will ask, teacher, what is this? What is that? I will ask actually. That is the only thing you should be able to prepare. Think about correction strategies. You think about what he will ask, what as a student I might land up asking actually. So you prepare a correction strategy and also you plan the assignment also for me actually. Within whatever you thought, you will plan an assignment also. Remember, please understand that assignment is not necessary to be only what is called as chanting and come. You can also fix in what is called as a reflective question on your chanting class actually. For example, we have taught in Durga Saptashati, I'll give an example. For example, Durga Saptashati teachers, those who are here, Isha, Gayatri Ma and Sendil. Suppose, for example, you are teaching 11th chapter. Okay. So you would have not even explained. It's not necessary that it has to be where the Bhashyam class has taken place or nothing like that. You have asked them to chant, you have taught them to chant and everything, and you are saying that Devi is Narayani here, and she is Paramatma. So you frame a question, and then we will put a link as usual, and let students write the reflection actually about the chanting, how they felt about the chanting actually, what they could feel about the chanting, and let them write in our designated space in the social media where we allot, and you people should be able to answer them back by answer actually. Already we are doing slowly that we are doing actually for whatever the articles the faculty members are writing, they are only responding. I think you have seen that actually. It's like, no, I'm not responding those who are published, because if I'm publishing, I respond. If somebody, the faculty members are publishing, they are the ones who are responding actually to the messages. So you should be able to do the response to the messages actually. So it's not always necessary that the assignment means the chanting class should only have chanting assignment. No, it can have even have other kinds of reflective assignments which you can decide actually. As a team, as colleagues, we can decide and we can give those assignments to students actually. Got it? Or maybe you assign, you are seeing in the meeting, randomly you assign 5 students, you pick up their names and say that these 5 students will prepare next class 5 shlokas and they will come to chant in the class actually. Anything you think innovatively, like these kind of assignments, and you give the assignment, and then we take it forward actually. So before if suppose that kind of an assignment you have given means, before the next class you will ask those 5 students to chant, and then you start with the class or something like that. Got it? So to sum up this is what is all about Swadhyaya to Adhyapana. As a Mahavidyalaya faculty member, it is not merely teaching a text. It's about preserving the oral tradition. It's all about helping students to build discipline. It's about transmitting themselves have received, studying sincerely, receiving it in a humble manner, transferring it with humility, preparing for the classes carefully, teaching in a very patient manner, correcting in a very compassionate manner, and understand that you are a mentor and you feel that responsibility. You have been handed over that responsibility. You be brutally honest in your reflections, you have to reflect very honestly and serve prayerfully. This is something very important, and the highest aspiration of any faculty member is not perfection, but it is sincerity. Thank you so much, all of you. I hope this session was very useful. Out of all the sessions, I think this is what has actually given you the picture of what you have to do. Rest were all about the ethos, and we covered many aspects. And I think this was the session which helped you. So now, what we will do, let me quickly tell you all. We will be sharing the Raghavendra, our administrative assistants for the Mahavidyalaya and for the principal Acharya, will be sharing the Google Drive link, which has all the minutes of the meeting, which he has compiled for all the sessions. And also all slides will be there. So all the slides and all the minutes of the meeting and everything will be shared as a Google slide, which you will be using it for your reference. And you will be preparing a slideshow of the entire presentation that you have gone through from these sessions, where you have learned, where you have also submitted your reflections, that you will be preparing a slideshow, and you will be given a time of half an hour. Each one of you will be given a half an hour to 40 minutes maximum to give a presentation to me, including this final teaching assignment actually. I'll be announcing the dates for each one of you, half an hour to 40 minutes. We can do it even in the morning time. Based on your comfortable time, we can set up a time. And the presentation is for me. So I gave you the entire presentation. You will give your final presentation to me, sharing your screen, the slides, the reflection, what is that you have learned, what is that you would like to do, all the aspects. And finally, you land up teaching me. There'll be like our Mahavidyalaya other administrators, like Isha Mahavidyalaya administrator, examination in charge, administrative assistant, all the wherever possible permutation combinations, they will be with me in those sessions, and they will be attending classes, and we will be recording these sessions, and it will be on your name actually as a faculty member. That is the way we have done. So this is part of the training program that we have given. And finally, you will start with what is best. We have a oath taking ceremony. It is happening on the 10th of July. That is the first anniversary celebrations. You will be taking the oath. You will be taking the oath that day in a very formal manner, and followed by you will be performing a Sri Vidya Puja as guided by me, a simple, systematic Sri Vidya Puja you will be doing. And then, that particular day we have announced even the Durga Sahasra Namavali. So the oath taking will happen from 8 to 9 p.m. Followed by 9 p.m. Loka Kalyana Sri Durga Sahasra Namavali. You will continue on that 10th of July. So this is the way we will be. You will be a part of the faculty team, and then we will take things forward. Thank you so much, and let's finish the session with Mangalam. ॐ सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरि नारायणि नमोऽस्तुते जयन्ती मङ्गला काली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवा दात्री स्वाहा स्वदा नमोऽस्तुते ॐ शान्तिः 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 सर्वं श्रीचण्डी महालक्ष्मी अर्पणमस्तु तथास्तु. Thank you so much. See you in the next session. Namaskaram.